Health and storage is health. Alright, so as we wait for this game to load, I just thought I would take the opportunity to just briefly talk a little bit about the decks we'll be seeing. So my friend here is in Ranked. He's playing the new Howling Peak combo deck, which revolves around using Westwind Herald to essentially hit your opponent an unlimited number of times. And this deck was one of the domineering forces at the beginning of the format, and then a bunch of different variations off of that, and other decks that have emerged. A lot of them, including the red-blue color combination, do this card you see right here, actually, Howling Peak, which has been a domineering force in the new meta. While sites as a whole, which are very akin to Planeswalkers from Magic the Gathering, have not been seeing tons of play, this particular card has, just due to its ability to create such value and help you win attrition games. Value, control have been hallmarks of this format, and a lot of people have been frustrated. It's somewhat polarizing, insofar as there's not tons of opportunity for self-expression, some seem to think, because there's not a lot of different deck choices. However, I think because the meta is focused on such a specific set of cards, it's actually really skill-intensive, right? You can understand what the meta is, rather than it being kind of rock, paper, scissors, where there's a lot of polarized matchups, that is matchups where one deck is much more likely to win than the other. Here, it's a lot about, I would say, a battle of inches, right? Really understanding what your opponent has when it plays certain things, right? Understanding the importance of turn 6 when Howling Peak can come down. There's a lot of competition for board control as such. Now, the game has actually begun, so I'm going to jump in here. Now, my friend's opponent here is on Haunted Highway, with actually a really ideal start in the Grandin, and that's two bodies that can put pressure pretty quickly. Now, actually looking at the sequence of plays, it looks like he stumbled a little bit. That turn 1 with the Grandin was fairly ideal, but turn 2 he did nothing, which when your aggressive deck is really lost opportunity. And then turn 3, he managed to finally get a 2-drop, which suggests that his curve is a little bit off, which puts you at a distinct advantage as an aggressive deck, especially since a lot of people are saying aggressive decks are really poorly positioned right now, for I would say a few reasons. You see a card here, actually, Defiance, which can destroy attacking units that cost 3 or less, and then stun those that cost 4 or more. In other words, it's really effective tempo, right? Anytime you can use a 1-drop card to get rid of a 3-drop, that's fairly efficient, right? A good way to stem the bleeding if you're a slower deck. However, despite the fact that it really stumbled here earlier, right, this aggressive deck still has a chance in that this is Haunted Highway. One of the main advantages of this deck is that in exchange, right, for losing a lot of that aggressive tempo, you get combo pieces, you get a little more reach, right? It's a deck that can play the game of attrition a little bit more, and as such was a really powerful force in the previous format. The reason I feel it's less well positioned here is that the most recent slew of decks be introduced right off the back of cards like Defiance, Avigraft, a Howling Peak, they're really good at playing the attrition game. So as an aggressive deck, it seems like less and less you want to be playing the attrition game, right? You want to just be aggressive if you're going to be an aggressive deck, rather than hedge your bets against a slower matchup. Just because it's so hard, even if you have some built-in attrition, to get through, right? These Howling Peaks, these Feast Callers, so on and so forth. So as a result, I think Haunted Highway is just not very well positioned in this form. And actually, unfortunately, because the screen is freezing here, technical difficulties, that gives me the chance to just kind of talk about that dynamic specifically. The fact that you don't see a lot of these new hard counters, right? I think it's Adjudicator's Gavel, Urn of Ashes, something like that. The fact that I don't know the name of it, I think says something, because this is a card that really hoses Haunted Highway, which was the marquee deck of the last format, and really no one is including it in their markets at this point. So unfortunately, again, it's frozen, but that gives me the chance to talk about a few things happening here, especially in my friend's hand. So looking at his hand, you see, again, cards like Rezon, these really push lifesteal cards that are still really relevant. It just shows that these slower decks can turn the corner so quickly, can stabilize so quickly, right? And then once they do, even more so than before, they can win the value game. Alright, so we're finally basically at a frame every like 5 seconds. We're seeing a little more footage here. So what has happened here is a variety of permafrost. Now, permafrost is, I would say, one of the more compelling designs in the game. One of the big reasons being is, on the one hand, it can remove a large variety of threats for only a single power, which, when you're an aggressive deck and you want tempo advantage, is really appetizing. However, it's always had some real issues.